Do you want your angelfish to breed and have thousands of babies like these? Then stay tuned. Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Jason with Jadren Aquatics. Thanks for hanging out with me again. I hope everyone is having an amazing time, as here in Texas we're already hitting hundreds almost every single day and I'm melting. So today we are going to talk about breeding angelfish. This not only just applies to angelfish, this actually applies to a lot of other different types of egg-bearing fish. But we're gonna go around, I'm gonna show you some of the breeders that I have, give you an idea, some of the things to do, some of the tricks. But understand, when it comes to breeding fish, a lot of it has to do with the water conditions that you have. I just happen to have water conditions for some reason that angelfish just absolutely adore, whereas I've got other fish that I can't get to breed at all, no matter how many tips and tricks that I follow. So sometimes there's just some luck to it. So let's go around and let's find out how to breed angelfish. All right, so you have decided that you want to breed angelfish. So we're gonna start from the first. How is the best way to get your angelfish? Well, the best way to get a breeding pair is to buy someone that already has a proven breeding pair. But those are very expensive. But the way that I like to do it, which I think is kind of fun, is to actually go out and pick some of your own. Pick some small ones. For instance, this is kind of the size that I'd like to look for. Like if you look at these guys right here, these guys are about quarter size. I would go out and try to find, 6, 8, 10 quarter size ones. You're not gonna be able to tell what they are, male or female. But when you take those 6 or 10 and you grow them up, you can watch them and eventually you'll see them begin to pair off. So let's come over here and let's look at some of the ones that I'm in the process of actually doing that with. Okay, these are some ones that I bought 5 or 6 of them. I think these are Filipino Blues. These guys, I bought that same size that I was showing you. They were about quarter size. And now I'm just waiting for them to begin to pair off, because again, it's very difficult to figure out which one's a male and which one's female, but they will naturally begin to pair off. One of the telltale signs that I can see when they're almost ready, and that's part of the reason I actually have a 20-gallon that's already completely ready to go, that's completely cycled, that's just waiting for the fish, because I've been watching these guys. And what they'll do is when they're getting ready to start breeding, not all the time, but a lot of time, is they'll start lip locking. You'll start seeing them fight in between each other, kind of opening their mouths real wide and crashing into each other over and over and over. And so that's when I know they're just about ready to breed. And then the other indicative sign is you'll see that their sexual organs will begin to show. So, right below their fins in this area, you'll start to see their sexual organs show. And that gets to be about the only time that you can really see if it's a male or female. But eventually, when those pair off, they will go off into their own corner somewhere, and they will either, lay on a leaf or on some driftwood or on the glass, or if you have a special thing in there for them to lay on, or a piece of slate, they will lay eggs. The female will, and then the male will come through, and he will fertilize them. If you guys are enjoying this video and you would love to see more fish room tours, more fish store tours, and a bunch of cool DIY projects in my amazing fish room, be sure and hit that subscribe button right now. And then when the time is finally right, you may be lucky to walk in and see this. As the female lays the eggs and the male comes along and fertilizes them. So that's what I'm in the point of doing right now, is I come out here each day now, and I just kind of find a chair and I sit back and I watch them, and I try to wait to see if there's any two that look like they are about to start laying. And then what I'll immediately do is pull those two and put them in that tank that I have set up, so they'll have their own tank, so they don't have to worry about all the fish that are around them. Now granted, I have done this before and I pulled some I pulled 2 of them, and I thought for sure I had the male and female, and I ended up being wrong. So let's go ahead and let's go over to the actual pairs that I have that are currently breeding. Okay, so in these 3 tanks, I've got 3 breeding pair. In the first tank, I've got some black angelfish. And as you guys can probably see and probably wonder, Jason, why did you paint the aquarium black when you have black angelfish? It wasn't done on purpose. I'd already painted it black from another one. Why I stuck them in there is the problem. I have no idea. So they're very, very difficult to see. In the second one, we've got a pair of platinums. And then in the third one, I've got some koi angelfish. And so one of the things, as they start to get big like this, it's a lot easier to tell them apart. The male is almost always bigger than the female. As you can see right here, the one here on the left is the female, and the other one is the male. He's almost twice as big. The other thing that you can tell about the male is if you look right on his forehead, right where that dark orange spot is, he kind of has a hump or a crown. That's another thing that's indicative to know that it's a male. So look at these, the platinums, and you'll see the same thing. The female being on top, she's quite a bit smaller. The male here, he's got that, again, that big crown or that big hump on his head. So these guys will lay eggs approximately every 11 to 14 days. At least that's what mine do. All of them are pretty consistent. And so the very first thing they'll start doing is they will start picking at this breeding cone that you see here, and that's them cleaning it off and preparing the surface for where they're going to lay their eggs. These guys have laid eggs so many times, all these pairs, that they always lay on these breeding cones. Now the black ones that I had at first, these guys laid on the glass a few times and then finally started moving. You can see this black one right here, he's already beginning to clean that breeding cone like I was telling you. That's one of the first signs. You'll see both of them begin to clean that off and prepare a space for the female to go in there and lay her eggs. Now, when you're trying to breed your angels, one of the things that you want to do is you want to be sure and give them clean water. You want to do water changes fairly often. I change about 2 to 3 gallons every single day through the automatic drip system that I have. So again, you just want to give these guys fresh water so that they're just the absolute healthiest they can possibly be. And be sure and take your tank and clean it out. You can see in here right now I've got a little bit of waste that's building up. That's from about 2 or 3 days. You want to try to keep their surrounding area just as clean as you can. That's one of the reasons that to me, it's much better to use a bare bottom tank with these guys. That way you can constantly see exactly what's dirty and what needs to be cleaned up. And also with these breeding cones, I'll leave a link down below so you guys can see some places that you can buy these from. Lots of different places have them. They're all sorts of different types of prices. These aren't necessarily ones you have to use. You can use a piece of slate if you want to, but these just make it easy. These things are easy to take out and clean. They're easy to remove when you want to remove the eggs. So that's why I choose to use these. And again, the shape really isn't that big of a deal. This one's got a flat top. This one's pointy. This one's taller and longer in gray, and it doesn't seem to matter to them whatsoever. And so the next thing that you want to do is you want to feed these guys really a good diet so that you're fattening them up to get that female to produce eggs. So you want to try to feed them as much live food as you can. They absolutely love blackworms, so if you have an access or you can produce your own live blackworms, they love those guys. If not, get you some bloodworms. If you can't find live ones, then use some frozen ones. They seem to like those just about as much. But again, just feed them a healthy diet. And once you get these angelfish breeding, it's easy after that. They pretty much, again, will just breed automatically on their own. All right, so here we have a pair that has laid eggs today. I can tell for sure that these eggs are at least probably 6 hours or so old. The reason being is because I can already begin to see eggs that were not fertilized. If you look there closely, you'll see 2 eggs that are just side by side right there that are just completely white. Those are ones that absolutely did not fertilize. Those are the ones that you just have to work to get rid of, because those are the ones in the end that'll cause you the most problems. When we talk about raising fry, we'll go over that a little bit more. But again, this is what it looks like after they have laid their eggs. And so now you have to make the decision. Are you going to try to let the parents actually raise these, because in about 3 days these things are going to hatch? Or are you going to pull them and you're going to try to raise them yourself? Just so that you know, out of the 4 pair that I have, I tried at least 30 or so times for each one of them to try to get them to raise their own, and they ate the eggs every single time. I heard from someone that breeds angels that said that angels have just been inbred so much that they just don't really know so much how to be parents anymore. Now, there are people that have been successful at it, but I absolutely have not been successful at all. All right, so there you go. There is how you breed angelfish. Stay tuned for the next video where I'll show you guys what to do with the eggs, how to raise those things up, and how to take care of your fry and grow them up to adults. If you got any questions, be sure and leave them down below. So thanks again, guys, and God bless.